What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is Wednesday, which of course means it's time for another Western New York Wednesday here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today, once again, comes from the Grow Brewing Company, and they are now headquartered in New Hartford, New York, and this is their Omni Mild. So they're calling this one an Oak-Fermented Pub Ale that comes in at 4% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review, this can is exactly 2 weeks old. And first things first, I want to give a huge congratulations to Garrett, Alana, and the entire Grow team on finally opening their first tap room in New Hartford, New York. They're a nomadic brewery that pretty much brews at a bunch of different locations in the Finger Lakes region. They're still going to continue doing that, but they actually now have a tap room to showcase their beers. Now, the grand opening, by the time you see this review, was about 3.5 weeks ago. I was unable to make it. New Hartford is about a 6-hour round trip from where I am in Buffalo. So I want to get out there, hopefully before the end of the year. I was unable to make it, but a couple of very good friends of mine and fellow beer tubers, Dan and Mike over at FLX Beer Reviews, they went to the grand opening, and on their channel, they actually did some on-location videos, which I thought were pretty fantastic. Grow did a couple special releases. They did a peach brandy barrel-aged barley wine and a cherry brandy barrel-aged barley wine offshoots variants of their Dormancy, which I reviewed on the channel earlier this year. One of the best beers I've had this year, and one of the best beers I've ever had from a Western New York brewery. Now, New Hartford, not technically in Western New York anymore, but I'm still going to feature Grow on Western New York Wednesdays because they are very entrenched in the Western New York region from Buffalo to Rochester to Finger Lakes. So yeah, I wanted to pick up this one because you don't see too many pub ales, even though pub ale is not really a style. It's kind of a generic term and a broad term for beers you'll see in the pub over in the UK, especially England. You know, your bitters, your ESBs, your milds, which this pretty much they're going for, I think, a pale mild as opposed to dark mild. But yeah, so when it says oak fermented, they actually used medium toasted oak staves with this one, and it says it gives it a little bit of like vanilla and oak tannin feel to it. So I'm into it. Let's crack it open, get into glass tag. Glass tag? Hashtag proper glassware. I don't know what I'm doing. So we're gonna give it a nice pour here. And really looking forward to this one. Like I said, you don't see a ton of like English beer, especially packaged. And I'm really looking forward to this one. Beautiful looking beer. We'll be able to get all of it in eventually because this is a huge glass. I think this holds like 17 or 18 ounces. So throw this over here. Now, how does that look? Well, it looks like a lighter beer of some sort. Honestly, if you handed this to me and I was like looking at it for the first time, I'd be like, that kind of looks like a hazy kind of old school IPA. So like a lot of the hazies you'd see in like the mid to late 2010s. It has, on camera, it's going to look completely probably one color, but in person here, it's like a deeper or like honey orange color here. As it goes lower, it's more of like a yellow orange color. Has a 2-finger of this soap sudsy looking head. I'd say it's kind of more of a slightly off white, but kind of plays the role. And again, it is in the hashtag proper glassware. Proper glassware kind of for the style too. It has like, it's like kind of like the pub glass you see. Hold it up to the light. Lots of carbonation. Looks pretty unfiltered, but it does have like a haze to it. Like you should be able to see the shadow of my hand, but outside of that, you really can't make anything out. So I'm curious to see again what the oak does here with an English pale mild or even a dark mild. I love the style. You don't see enough U.S. breweries try to brew them, so I'm curious. Oh, that's nice. So the first thing I do get is that kind of like vanilla, like the vanillins, like the oak tan, like it's oak tannin plus vanilla. It's really nice. It's not too big, but it's definitely noticeable. But then there's a lot of like biscuity malt character, maybe a touch of like a breadiness. Slight citrus tones, like a sweeter orange, a little bit of like an apple or a pear. It's really cool. I do pick up on that oak, and it's kind of different for this style. It also has a very slight kind of like earthy hop aroma. Maybe, I'm not going to say copper coin, but kind of in that like earthy, slightly grassy realm. Sometimes with like English hops, you get like that copper coin or a little bit of like a dirty kind of nose. Not really again, this is more earthy and grassy. It smells pretty good. I like the fact that the oak is prominent only because it says it is, and that's kind of what this is brewed with. This is not like a traditional, I would say, English pale mild, although, you know, a lot of times here in the US, you see English beers and you wish they were on cask. I don't know, it smells pretty good. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. It is incredibly flavorful for 4%. And the oak does come through. Again, it's more of like, it's funny because I have it off camera for when I do reviews with bottles that I have to get the opener off. So I have this Firestone Walker Brewing Company opener, right? So this bottle opener I bought probably 10 plus years ago. And when I first got this one, I smelled it. I don't know why I smelled it, but I smelled it and I was like, oh, here we got a little bug in here flying around. See if I can get it. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, I ended up having to smell that because crazy. And that's what you do. So I smelled it and it had like this vanilla oaky kind of scent to it. And that's what I'm tasting in this beer. Body for 4% is fantastic. It's like medium, a touch over medium. Really nice. The mouthfeel, it has a nice crisp kind of sensation to it. It's definitely carbonated, so mild to moderately carbonated. However, it's quite smooth, and I would say it's a little bit less carbonated than you probably would expect. Maybe it is kind of mimicking the cast to some degree, but not all the way. So it has like a nice, soft, smooth, kind of slightly creamy sensation. The taste is a lot of biscuity, bready malt character. And then as it passes through, I get a little bit like that orange marmalade I get with like a lot of English beers or a lot of even like aged IPAs or like English IPAs. So it's like orange marmalade on like a slightly toasted biscuit. Like there's a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of toasty biscuit. And then there's a touch of like an apple and a pear. But after that, on the finish, that's where the vanilla and the oak hit. And I'd say the second half of the palate is pretty much vanilla oak in combination. And it finishes with this like mild to moderate kind of oak tannin dryness. Not really too bitter. It's like a mild bitterness here. 4%, you can't tell. What I like about this as well, it has some nice upfront sweet kind of notes. On the back, that dry vanilla oak tannin dryness really helps out and balances out this beer. The most impressive thing about this, outside of the oak kind of being prominent, is that the body and mouthfeel are spectacular for something 4%. Like if I was doing this blind, I would think this is more in like the 6.5, 7% realm. It drinks bigger than it actually is ABV wise. Yeah, nice. So basically, toasted biscuit, a little bit of orange marmalade on top, some other nondescript kind of orchard fruits, finishes with a kind of vanilla oak tannin dryness. Now as I'm talking to you, there's a bit of that grassy, earthy kind of finish. That's where like the mild bitterness comes in from the hops. Really nicely done. It's another good beer from Grow. I don't think this is going to blow anybody's mind, especially if you're not somebody who enjoys like English beers or pub ales. As I feel like pub ales is something like Americans have kind of developed over the last couple of years, where it's just like you'll see something labeled as a pub ale and it's like, well, there's a lot of different styles and a lot of different beers in a pub in the UK. So what the fuck does that mean? Well, in this case, they went for, I'd say this was more like an English pale mild, maybe like an English golden ale, something like that. But as a whole, I think they did a really good job with a low ABV English ale of some sort with a little bit of that toasted oak. I think they did a really, really good job with it. So I'm digging this one a bunch, but if this is not your jam, you're probably not going to buy it anyway. But I would recommend checking this one out if you do like English beers or like lower ABV beers that have a lot of flavor. So Omni Mild from Grow, going to give this one a low 4.25 and go 4.2. I think that's a really fair rating for this one for what it is. I'm not going to say stylistically because, again, they went with the pub ale. And even though they're calling it Omni Mild, are they going for an English pale mild? Are they going for something else? Like, I don't know. But personal preference, it's a 4.2 out of 5. So really happy with this one. Good job, guys. So anyway, price point availability. $13.99 a 4-pack. You're talking $3.50 a can. I'm fine with something that's oak fermented. It's a style you don't see a lot. Might be a little bit more expensive than some people would like to pay for a 4% beer, but it's done extremely well. I give it a 4.2, so $3.50 a can. I'm fine with it. And availability, it's Grow outside of the West New York region and now more to central New York. So New Hartford is just outside of Utica, so not too far from like Syracuse and like kind of like and Albany and whatnot. So you probably get a lot of their beers throughout Western and Central New York. Outside of that, I really don't know. I don't know if they have a beer finder on their website, but you can check it out. If you're in the Western or Central New York area, though, you can probably get your hands on them, and I would say do so because they are one of my favorite local breweries in the Western / Central New York region. Huge thanks to Dan for putting them on, for putting me on to them about, I think it's a couple of years now, maybe a year and a half. He was the first one that mentioned them, and he's right. They kick out some awesome stuff, and they got their new tap room. So once again, congratulations to them. And if anybody out there has had this one before, post in the comment section. If not, what's your favorite pub ale, or what's your favorite like local English ale in general, or English beer that you would see in a pub? This is up here, or up there for me personally here in, I will just say locally, because you don't see a lot of English beers in general that A, are packaged, and B, are well done. So once again, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Check back next Wednesday for another West New York Wednesday. Might be a little bit before we get something from Grow. I think I reviewed something from them like 4 months ago. So try to be more diverse this year and just feature a bunch of different breweries. But Grow makes good beer. It's hard to keep them away from West New York Wednesdays. Anyway, appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.